There is an older sheriff's deputy out in Georgia who is being accused of raping a woman at her home while he was on duty and in uniform. This is a picture here. And it's an older man, 80-year-old Deputy Jerry Glover. He has since been fired since the allegations dropped. And he was also arrested on Tuesday for rape, violation of oath, and false imprisonment. Now, the Walker County Sheriff, Steve Wilson, told the news outlet Law and Crime this. Glover knew the woman through his duties as a deputy sheriff, Wilson told Law and Crime in a phone interview. The sheriff confirmed that Glover was allegedly on duty and in uniform when he went to her house. Glover was out for 15-20 minutes. Nashville Fox affiliate WZTV reported that according to Wilson, Glover allegedly pulled up to the victim's home, went inside, forced her to have sex, and then went back into service. Wilson said the woman made the report to local police the same day. Now, Glover was fired on May 27th, and the Walker County Sheriff's Office arrested him 4 days later. The accused deputy was denied bond during a court appearance early Wednesday and is set to return on June 9th for a bond hearing. Foremost, this person is quite elderly, 80 years old, and they've been in law enforcement, arguably, probably for some time. That probably tells me this isn't the first time something like this has happened. It's probably just the first time it was reported and somebody did something about it. And I also say that in part because of how swiftly the law enforcement authorities acted there in terms of firing him. That kind of signals to me, at least, that they kind of know something's up. Because otherwise, that thin blue line gets really strong and protective around their fellow officers. So the fact that they dropped this man super quick, hot, fired him, and then arrested him tells you that they know something's up. This guy probably has a behavior of this, and as someone who has studied sexual violence, sexual harassment, assault, I can tell you it ain't never a one-off. He did not hit that octogenarian territory and decide, I'm gonna go out here and commit sexual assault. Nah, I don't think this is new. And I know he is definitely still facing those charges. And so there's an opportunity for him to answer in court. But I can say from looking at the situation, the allegations and the response from law enforcement, that this is probably not the first time. Jasmine?
Yeah, exactly what you just said. I think whenever we hear stories like this, the first thing that I think of is how many times is this actually happening? The stories that we don't hear. Even if you look at the issues of mass shootings in this country, there have been however many more shootings than per day at this point in the year already, but how many of those have we heard about, right? How many of those were actually like headline stories? And same thing goes with cases like this. How many times has this happened that we have not heard about, that we didn't know to make a big deal about? And on top of that, if these things are happening and they're not getting the publicity that stories like this one are getting, there's no incentive or little to no incentive for these police departments to actually respond to it and do something about it. In this case, they probably had little to lose. The guy was 80 working as a deputy still, which is interesting. That's a whole other issue, I would think. But I mean, getting rid of him for them wouldn't have been a big deal. But if it was another cop, if it was a different guy, if it was a less high profile story, would they have done anything? What would be the incentive for them to do it? And we've seen so many times when they didn't do anything, or they did the bare minimum, or they would fire them but still pay them, or give them a job at the next district over. So you keep hearing about these stories. It's good to stay aware of these things that are happening, but also, like they're still happening. Just because it's not in the news cycle doesn't mean that these things go away.
No, and I actually think that this, which isn't getting a lot of attention at all, just the local news outlet is where we were able to find this out. But I think the reason that this story got any attention is because he actually got fired and there are actual charges, whereas oftentimes there's just the complaint there and nobody does anything about anything. And that's something that unfortunately our system has to reconcile because we definitely need change.